Yeah.
And by the way, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Yeah.
Is this your first time on here?
Yeah, I think so. I may have popped in one other time at some point, but I think this is the first time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to tell because at some point everybody on screen ends up in the chat, and everybody in chat ends up on the screen. It's like it's a hangout show. Everybody cycles through eventually.
Oh yeah, I caught on to that. I was like, should I schedule like an official? There's not really official appearances. It's just like let's hang out, So
yeah, every once in a while, we'll do like a wing it promo stream. Like if somebody wants to do a special promo stream, they come to me. I'm like, yeah, we'll do that, and who's a regular panelist that can make it will join, and we'll just do like an hour or two show, just talking about the latest project.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, I'm realizing on my little parade of shows I've been on for my comic that I guess a while back it was a whole like stigma for like the comic scene. Like a lot of these dudes were kind of pressured into starting shows like this because it was like part of the culture. It was like you need to like everybody needs to have one of these shows if you want to be successful. And really, what I realized
there is a little bit of I would have some agreement with that. It's it's one of the most direct and obvious ways to try and start and put yourself out there.
Yep. No matter how small, I mean, you're making content. So I'm still blown away by Boncher's music. That was pretty damn good. It's like stuck in my head.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. That's how I know a lot of it. Whenever I start writing music, if I'm sitting there humming it to myself after I kind of write down the original inspirational riff, and I'm like, okay, there's something here. The next one that I just put up in the chat, if you want to share this one, because I put it up about 3 weeks ago, you might get a kick out of this. This is very lo-fi, jazzy, downbeat kind of stuff. It wasn't written for my book series, so
yeah.
All right, well, we'll definitely check that out in a few minutes.
Yep.
But for right now, AC, you got some projects going on, don't you?
I do. I got that comic campaign I mentioned, and obviously Spirit Animals is going to be my free ongoing content probably for the rest of my life. I have no planned ending for that. That's like my One Piece. Maybe we'll see the titular character become an old man. You know what I mean? So. Like I said, that one's filled with paladins. As soon as you guys got on the paladin talk, I was like, "Oh man, I gotta start. I gotta get on."
I had to go pull it out and check the dark meat.
Yeah, but aside from that, just trying to get on shows, promoting that darn comic, and working on like Bad Sauce's book cover. I'm trying to do good on that, so it's like taking me forever, and I get a little burnout with design work because I'm not like an artist first. I'm like a writer or a musician first, I would say. So the actual art part, I don't want to mess it up. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I'm I got a really cool idea type first, and then I had to become one of the others second to make it happen.
We need the cool idea guys, right? That was Jeff Goldblum's dad in Independence Day. Remember? He's my dad, a genius.
Yeah.
He's like, you'll catch a cold. Why are you on the floor there? You get up. I don't want you to catch a cold. Oh, you're a genius, Dad. You're a genius.
Actually, you gotta admit, that is one of the most creative ways to move a plot along in a hurry.
I saw what they were doing in that movie, and like a lot of it is okay. Like for example, there's multiple countdown storytelling devices. Like the movie, the show 24 is the best. Just to summarize it, like you have the plot count down, you know what I mean, and it builds tension. There's multiple of those in Independence Day, and multiple times where there was actually very surface level but clever ways to move the plot along. Like Jeff Goldblum is depressed and drunk because they launched nukes, spoilers, and and his dad's like, I don't want you to catch a cold, and he's like, yeah, we'll give the aliens a cold, let's go, you know what I mean? And it's like that's pretty on the nose, but at the same time it is clever. I will say they backfire in one area with this regard when the president's wife, quote unquote, dies. She should. I should save most of this for Iron Seas tomorrow, but like, they could have just had her stay dead, You know,
That's the discussion tomorrow.
Spoilers for tomorrow.
Yeah. They could have just had her stay dead though, but instead it's like they have her die twice. You know, they have Will Smith's wife save her just to bring her back so that she can have the sad death with her kid later.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, but they needed a reason to fire the sniveling weasel.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work well in Star Trek when they killed Kirk twice.
I was thinking about that though. I'm like, wait, she died already. Like the president thought she was dead this whole time, and then now he finds out she's alive only to kill her again, and it's for like internal bleeding. Which, okay, president's wife, bring a bunch of blood transfusions in and open her up. I don't know what to tell you. There's probably something you could have did, but it's whatever.
Infrastructure was wrecked at the moment, though.
As I was noticing all that, they went ahead and they made it like a very pro father-daughter moment, a very pro family, like family going through some stuff moment. So I can't even criticize it that much. That's all. That's the last I'll say on Independence Day. Maj, you got me going with that. But yeah, I'll save it for the show tomorrow.
Back to your IP.
Yeah. Oh, my paladins. So as soon as you guys got started talking about paladins, I was like, oh, the closest thing is like my Dark Lord, right? I was like, RK doesn't really have like gods per se to fight for, you know, like divine magic. All the magic is tied to objects, and the world itself is very unforgiving and like apathetic at best towards everything else. Like the world itself has ended so many times. For example, that just tells you how the universe is and how it thinks. It's like I could end it any moment. Don't tempt me, you know. But as far as like gods and paladins and stuff, I would say the closest thing would be actually one of the close friends of this Dark Lord character from my novel. His name is Drathis the Bonebreaker. He's a reptilian, like a dragonborn, but he's a warlord. And not only that, a really damn good warlord. He like conquered. He was the first one in years to like threaten conquering or like standing up to humanity since the character in my Mortal Descent book on Amazon right now. There's a reptilian in that book too, from the first story, named Queen Votisa, who's based off of Boudica. That event in that story is referenced in my novel by Drathis being like the first warlord to do something as crazy as that Boudica style event in history. But he's now in the story, you know, we're introduced to him as a slave. He's a slave. He already has his tail cut off, which is sterilization for my dragonborns. I figured, side note, I just figured that was a good way to like not only mark them physically, but like you know, a lot of reptilian mating patterns are kind of weird like that. Like, I don't know, reptilians with like cloacas and stuff. Like, I don't know. I didn't give much thought to like reptilian genitals or anything, but
so that's a real thing in some reptiles. You cut off their tail, they can't reproduce.
I don't know if it's a thing, but I know some reptiles, their whole identity revolves around their tail breaking away. So I know it's a reptile thing in that regard, and I know reptiles have a slightly different biology than humans. So I figured it's alien enough to just say that it also does that, or maybe in this procedure that these humans do to the dragonborn to sterilize them, maybe the first step is cutting the tail off, and then it just makes it easier to go into the reproductive system from there. I don't know. I didn't give it much thought, and I didn't dwell on it too much in a very Macapan style while we're talking about paladins. There are some things you don't really need to go into too much crazy detail about. It very much was just largely like you cut their tail off, they're sterilized, moving on. You know, you can kind of deduce things. But yeah, he's a slave, and he's like an ex-warlord, right? That's when he got captured. But throughout this story, he kind of bonds with this main character in the novel that slowly is kind of becoming more supernatural and dark lordy as the story goes. And by the end of the story, he doesn't even have a personality anymore. He's unrecognizable. He's probably like just covered in wounds and scars and like all messed up.
This is your reptilian guy or the Dark Lord guy?
This is the reptilian guy. The Dark Lord guy can like puppets him essentially, because spoilers, I was like, okay, the closest thing, if magic is tied to objects, how do you make like an almost godlike Dark Lord like figure, right? Like, how do you make a lich? And
He's got a big collection.
yeah, a whole bunch. That would be like one of the ways, right? But more importantly, without going into the heavy nuances of the magic system, it would be if magic is tied to objects, it would be to turn your body into a magical object. And blood's flowing through our body. We got organs and bones and stuff. So yeah, essentially the person undergoes a transformation like that, and it allows them to kind of bestow some of their power through their blood on this other character. Hey, buddy, you want to say hi?
Well,
Okay.
like a witch's
I'm going to help him
soldier.
really quick. I'm going to help my son.
Alrighty.
Of course.
Like a
He says
witch's
hi.
like a witch's soul gem or something.
Yeah, my best friend, the Horcrux.
So I sent that link to you if you want it there, Wrangler.
Oh, yeah, the one from before, I had that.
Mhm.
I think I had
Okay.
that tab up for a few.
Oh, okay.
Just
I
got to
didn't
figure out which tab I'm on here.
know. Oh,
go.
you're having a web browser like I do now.
Yeah, I have, I think, 30 something tabs open across the top.
Okay, you're worse than me now.
Only
I agree with Ev on that one. Probably Kahuna too.
I try to keep it under 20.
This the one?
Yep, that's it. This one's very different from what you heard, but it is probably one of my favorites.
Okay, let's do it.
Kahuna! What's up, man? We're listening to some Boncher tunes right now.
Hey Kahuna, I made your favorite Yapuki. Yapuki. I think it's Yapuki. I don't speak Korean, sadly. I'm probably butchering it.
This almost sounds like it could fit right in the background of a JRPG.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah.
It's very lo-fi.
Oh yeah.
I actually have one. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say like lo-fi, down tempo. The more chill it is, and the less it's able to like distract the reader from like by catching their ear. I realize like really
Mhm.
high pace, very rhythmic stuff seems to I can't get it to fit in an audiobook, for example. But like
Yeah.
The slower stuff, it's like it sets
Oh.
a mood.
If that's the case, then
Yeah. Mood setters, right?
Here.
Right?
yeah, here you go. I actually edit
Look-
to this one.
Lord of the Rings does a really good job, to be honest. Like even the more rhythmic stuff in Lord of the Rings, I mean, it actually does the opposite, where it is catching the person's ear, but I think because it's a movie, it just enhances all of it.
Yep.
And I mean, it might even still work in some cases with reading. But
Yep. I got some cross music at the moment.
Yeah, I keep thinking I could find a volume adjuster on here, and there isn't one.
Oh,
that happens. I can hear it clear over here.
yeah. There we go.
Okay, I actually like her outfit.
That was a fight to get the image to even look that good. The computer just did not want to play.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie.
Yep.
It actually looks like protective gear, but she can still move.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know how hard that is to get on some of those?
Nigh impossible sometimes.
Yeah.
But this is one of my 2 longest sort of space music pieces. I was playing with rhythms and tonality. Well, not rhythms as much as tonalities.
Yeah, see, this is like, you could even have this in a fantasy audiobook, even though it's spacey. It's just got a set of mood. You know what I mean? And it should be quiet enough in the back of the audiobook, but it doesn't really matter.
Yep, and this is all about layering.
I'm sorry, my mind is just on it because I feel like there's a sore lacking of like this type of passive background music for the Iron Age, like in indies in general. Like this is very valuable. This type of stuff is very valuable. Like YouTubers, audiobooks, that you name it. Like people.
Oh yeah.
So.
I just don't have enough time that I need to or would want to spend on it. Hot Pursuits is a very fast song. Dreams Within Dreams. That one is based off of chapter 1 out of Dreams Within Dreams, and it is very spacey with lots of samples.
Yeah.
People behind us, 175.
This one just turned out absolutely perfect.
Hot Pursuit.
One's Russia.
Uh-oh, that sounds like the cat got into trouble. I'll be right back.
Oh.
Is this because who's going to be joining us soon? I know he loves going on the on public video while in the shower.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I might need to like open up a second campaign to battle Maji in this bidding war here. How much can we pay Kahuna to send nudes?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't hear what you guys are saying while the music is playing too.
It's fine. It wasn't anything. Yeah. I don't want to encourage it. So I can't afford that kind of a bidding war with Maji. That's
You didn't even hit the melody there. But anyway, yeah. Just a few of the songs that I put out recently. They're all up there for people to buy if they want to. So,
yeah, they're really good.
well, thank you.
I'm impressed with, I just discovered Nikki Picone's music from Iron Age Marketing the other day. And I know Anthony Harris dabbles too. I've checked out his stuff. He actually offered me to use a little bit of it early on when I was first putting together the YouTube, which is cool. Like every time I find one of these musicians, like there's so many of them. I feel like so many indies, like music is deeply ingrained, into that. It's just crazy hearing all the talent. I don't know. So I view this person as like an author or this thing, and then all of a sudden they're a bomb musician too. That's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of hidden talents in the Iron Age groups out there right now that we probably haven't even heard of ourselves yet. So
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we're still relatively small. Like I view the
There's
term
probably
as,
like pockets of groups like us across the internet in the world, but
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I try to view Iron Age as like synonymous with indie instead of our just like little pocket.
yeah, same here.
It's the same as
I'm-
indie.
I'm a believer that it's more or less just a the same way you would have schools of art inside of a movement, an artistic movement. Iron Age is the same way. But it's got to be very careful because it's starting to become rather insular. And we already have a bunch of self-imposed gatekeepers out there that are trying to decide who is and isn't and what is and isn't. And they're unfortunately consolidating power, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. Well, and you go.
Pritchard, do you have a link to a current campaign right now, or?
Oh yeah, I'll toss that in the private chat for you.
Yeah, because I knew either you had one coming up or just launched one. I couldn't remember which.
Yeah,
Because there's a lot of campaigns being launched, like Bonzar Bokel from Radio Retro Future has a tabletop RPG based on his books that
That's a
he's
good
launching
idea.
over on Kickstarter.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not the campaign that I will be starting in order to fund my bidding war with Maji-chan over. This is my comic campaign. So. Yeah. And this is in the same world as my novel I was telling you guys about. My son's better, by the way. He literally just wanted this bottle. So.
Yeah. Let me stop this before I
Oh yeah.
go playing this.
Same world though. Same world. So.
Tensing the muscles in his hands, he remembered how he claimed his name. That winter, so long ago now,
That sounds like
where a
Kahuna.
band of rogue bulls had been pillaging every village between the mountains. Their rampage broke against me, however, he thought, and a blizzard rose up to protect me. The storm had raged for 3 days after the horde arrived. Emin had gathered his brothers and cousins to strike first, though. When the stars came out, most of the horde slept. The storm had broken, and Emin knew that was his chance. My cousin still claims I caved in their leaders faced with frozen fists. He grunted and brushed a numb finger across the remains of his nose. The cold claimed a nose, 4 toes, and nearly both hands that night. But I bought my name with it.
How's it going, everybody? This is AC Pritchard, thanking you personally for making it this far into the video. I just wanted to say that I look forward to watching this project grow over time and giving you the best product that I can possibly give for being so generous in your possible support. So thank you for your consideration and have a nice day. Let's see where the road takes us. Cheers. Oh, yeah. And thanks, Maju. I love the art too. Luke Stone really just knocked it out of the park. He really did.
Yeah. Unfortunately, King Bob wasn't going to be able to stick around tonight. But thanks for stopping in and saying hi at least. It was good to see you.
Yeah. King Bob.
King Bob!
And yeah, that was Kahuna narrating. That was a little section of the book. I had him do a little section that I had the art for, so you could kind of follow along with it. So.
Yeah, well, Kahuna has a merch suggestion.
You know what?
With
If we could
custom
do
branded
it
Kahuna truck nuts so well, I must know.
Maybe.
Kahuna, if we get it off the ground, we will figure out some way to get you some truck nuts.
Yeah. Kahuna brand nuts. Yeah.
Non sequitur. I actually did. I had an hour to do a reading at LibertyCon, and it turned out pretty good. Unfortunately, there wasn't much of an audience, but it turned out pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. You go to like events and stuff, don't you, Boncher?
Oh yeah, we've been learning over the last 2 years that going to physical events is absolutely critical for growth. Grow. You can touch base first virtually, but you've got to have that in-person step to go hang out. When we were at Fantasy, I got to hang out with Kevin J. Anderson. When I was at LibertyCon, I got to meet Will McCarthy, who is a bit of a sci-fi author hero for me. He's sort of like one of the first big proponents and writers of nanopunk, of all things. And he's written an absolutely critical book for anybody wanting to write about nanotechnology called Hacking Matter. And that's Will with one L. And
I can't believe you just brought up nanotechnology, because that's kind of where I was getting at with my Paladin earlier. But go on. That is so cool.
Oh yeah, Will McCarthy is just he's a great guy, and I fanboyed out on him something fierce. But otherwise, we spent time talking with a lot of small publishers. LibertyCon is known as a prose con because there are actually more published authors, artists, and people in the industry than there are fans that show to it. They still have some fans, but it's also a limited access. They limit attendance to 1,000 people, so everybody gets a chance to see, meet, talk with people. I cannot understate how important going to these networking cons like Fantasy, LibertyCon, Imaginarium, DragonCon even, and getting to those things is critical for author growth, because these connect you up to people that can help pull you up to the next step. And so Bain is the big dog that goes to LibertyCon, because they operate like, and then there's a whole bunch of smaller publishers that show up underneath. They act sort of like, this is our farm league. We are going to help and foster all these small publishers and all these indies that are coming here. We want them to get some time to grow and find the good talent out of there and build their business model from there. So it's really good that way. Very supportive. And then extend through virtual. After that, get names, numbers, Facebook accounts, and start extending beyond, because otherwise it's sort of, you get con brain. You're there, you're all excited, all these things are happening, and then it all vanishes. Yep, and then it vanishes, and then everybody forgets unless you keep picking at it. I can't even state it high enough. I'm going to babble.
So I can speak to this a little bit. I have over a decade in music as like a live performer, even. So what I see with this, it's authors like you and like Herman P. Hunter and others that I see actually going to cons. Like there's a certain small percentage, like Brian McCoppin is one of them too. A certain small percentage of indie authors within like the Iron Age, even our little group, that are actually willing to do it. And I'm glad that that's the amount. And I'm glad that not everybody is just like forcing it, I guess, because what I've learned from doing, I liken it to playing live shows. That's that I won't bury the lead. That's where I was getting at here. It's kind of the same as live shows. You need to like have your merch together. You need to have like the idea of your table together, and even your performative act down to a T. You need to be able to sell your book to a stranger that's walking by. You have 10 seconds, go. You know what I mean? That person's wearing a shirt that makes you think that they might like your book. If you mess it up, they won't come back. If you don't act right now, they won't come back. So it's like, it's very much the same thing. And yeah, like what you're saying is very true. It very much is where, just think about it. Even like the celebrities and the other authors aside, it is simply an environment where the fantasy nerd or the book reader, it's themselves is in their natural habitat. It's where they congregate at the watering hole. So, I mean, if you're a young, hungry lion that is hungry for some zebra, that's the place to find them. You know, otherwise you can just wander around the Sahara and hope, right? But you might wander into like a desert area. So,
we've been struggling with that, and that's where this is helping, but it's not there yet.
I would say it's something that doing online only, you're essentially banking on virality. You're like, oh, fingers crossed, I'll go viral at some point for whatever reason. Doing these shows is actually functionally putting your material in smart places.
Mhm.
Well, not only that, but like I've seen pictures of Boncher's table. He isn't relying on his book alone. The same with Herman. Herman's actually got not only bookmarks but active QR codes that people can walk by, take a picture of, scan, and then walk away. They don't even have to stop at his tables.
Yep, we actually do something similar, and we also have some of Herman's stuff up on our tables too, as well as another author that we're helping support because we're, like I said, we're taking the rising tide attitude.
Yep.
Snow as
And-
well, man.
Yeah, we've even reached out to see if King Richard wants to. Oh, beg your pardon. What the hell?
I've heard Richard talk about this. Richard talk about this. So
Surprise.
You'll be able to. Yeah.
Oh, good. So. Well, then we're just waiting for him to either send us what he needs, and we'll get from there. So if Richard, if you're listening, Richard, if it's on your mind, we have until the first week of August. And if you're going to be at the cookout, that means you can get it to us in hand then, save the mailing cost.
Very true. I will also say, I think, so like I inquired about this with him too. He said something about, because he plans on going to conventions too, but he's not like an author per se, he's, obviously, but he knows many, obviously. So it would become like if he said something, and I don't want to speak for him, maybe his opinion has changed by now, but it totally makes sense. It's something along the lines of like, if I accept one person's book, everybody's going to want to send their book. And then there's a whole bunch of complications with that too. So I think he was just trying to work it out in his own head. And he jokingly said that he would, he was thinking about doing I might still hold him to this. I might hit him up and ask about it. But he said he was going to hold a competition, like a firearm competition. With the authors have to submit a video. I forgot what the video is called. It's a very standard, like firearm practice reenactment where you have to do something, and he's like
the Mogadishu drill,
something like that. Yeah, and you have to have the person with the best time. He'll sell their books or something like that, and you have to submit the video. I mean,
then what he can end up becoming that way is basically what happened to a lot of these small presses. That he becomes a publisher, and that's not a bad thing. And I mean, I would highly recommend. Okay, so like I said, there are five serious small presses there. Well, technically small presses, but two of them are kind of jumping up with their publishing schedule. I mean, one of them did 24 anthologies this year, and they're doing 25 next year. Plus, they're talking about a set of novel releases on top of it all. Another one has several hundred books out already. But Jumpmaster Press, Canon Publishing. Chris Kennedy Publishing, Three Ravens, and Raconteur Press.
Speaking of Ravens, Raven Nevermore had to pop out, so just wanted to say goodnight to him. Have a good one, Raven. Thanks for coming in.
Cheers.
But yeah, those five were at LibertyCon, for instance, and they kind of go along a circuit that can go all over the U.S. I mean, I just saw the notes. Raconteur was at Writers Cantina out in Utah 1 week after being in Chattanooga. So, I mean, that's a brutal thing. If those, thank you. This is I married well.
Hi, Bambo.
No, look what's in it.
You gotta love wifey.
Oh, yes. Dessert. Anyway, yes, I married well.
Suddenly disappears in the meat.
Did I mute? I didn't mute, did I?
No. I said he suddenly mutes.
Yeah.
What was that?
It's boozy.
Woo! It's alcohol laden.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Really
that
good
would be
way.
one of the moonshine sipping creams on there. And hold on.
Bonus points.
Pause for. Oh, moonshine nanner cream.
That
Yes.
sounds like you could get drunk off your ass.
Hell yeah, we tried. We went to Gatlinburg start of the month, and everyone else tipsy walking down the street after the third tasting.
Yeah, and then you can't even promote your stuff anymore, and then you have to hit buttons like this. At the crossroads of pulp and punk, you'll find Dreams Within Dreams, the first book of the Tales from the Dream Nebula series, a return to the golden age style of science fiction. Link in the description.
What a good idea. Holy crap.
Thank you.
Holy crap! That's a good idea.
Does
Just
Kahuna
real
have
quick.
any
Yeah.
link?
What's that?
I don't know if he wants to join, but does Kahuna have a link?
I think so. He is in the group
Oh,
chat and otters, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm fairly certain he is.
I mean, he's been popping in when he can. Depends on what he's got going on. I mean, he said he was going to go take a shower. So are you sure you want him coming on right now?
Ooh.
He's not shy. One thing Kahuna is shy.
He's shy.
He's shy like a water buffalo.
That's
Well,
a great
Oh.
in
way
his
to put it.
defense, I actually work with a native Hawaiian, and she's like, well, being shirtless is not uncommon in native lands. So, in his
Right.
defense, he is
Yeah.
Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Culturally, that's normal for him.
Yeah. He just lives in a place that isn't as conducive.
It's that Washington Hawaiian culture going on
The nice,
because they're all shirtless in January.
yeah, with the nice rainy, afternoons, overcast sky, perfect for shirtless.
Well,
but
in
yeah.
one of his shorts, he's like, I got my shirt, got my sunglasses, then all of a sudden he plays like this Hawaiian slow music, and then all of a sudden he's in Hawaiian mode, messed up hair, no sunglasses, shirtless.
Yeah.
I gotta be just a little bit of a jerk, and sometime soon take some clips from that Fruit Island cereal commercial.
And
It's
like
like-
Buffalo, the natives have legends about me, he says. I'm sure they do.
Actually, speaking of buffalo legends,
I like
you guys
buffalo
hear about
too.
the
They make
white-
great burgers.
Yeah.
do you guys hear about the white bison born in Yellowstone?
No, I haven't.
Nope.
There's a whole news article on it. Actually, I think I sent it to Kahuna this morning. But so the Native Americans, especially the Sioux Indians, have a legend that if the white bison is born, it's a sign of great times to come, but it's also a warning to the earth. And then Yellowstone had they actually caught it live. The cameraman was following along and noticed a buffalo had just given birth, and out came the little white buffalo behind his mama.
Even the way they found that is actually kind of a little weird, like, oh, I just stumbled across the white buffalo, and oh, look, there's all this lore and legend behind it, like Lord of the Rings or something.
Let's see if I can find. Let me see if I can share the link, because it was an actual news report, which is kind of cool about it.
Yeah, this is funny. Richard, you just mentioned all the lore behind it. It's like digging into Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I saw a video. It was last week or the week before. I shared it around a little bit. It was it said the world building of Earth sucks or something like that. And this guy pretty much went through Earth's history like it's lore in a fantasy book, and he's talking about how the magic system is broken with all the and with all the referring to technology and everything. And
dude, that's cracking me up just hearing that concept. That's ridiculous. Have you seen the guy on YouTube who breaks down all of Earth's creatures, like their stats and stuff? And he defines the meta of Earth. Like,
I think I probably have. He kind of talks about them like they're in a video game.
Yep.
But then there's another one. It's probably a different guy I'm watching. Casual Geographic. He does a little bit of that.
Oh my gosh, dude! These guys are geniuses. That's just such a funny idea.
My favorite video from him is the insane plot armor of cats. Then I watched his video on owls, and holy crap. These critters, I had no idea. And I gave the bad guy in my second book an owl theme, so I'm like, I think I chose well.
Yeah.
I got a shell for somebody a little bit, because I at LibertyCon I accidentally stumbled into a gaming tournament in the gaming room for a company called Chenoweth Games doing a card game called Cat Magic, and I won the thing. And it is an absolutely terminally cute game where you play a magician or a wizard's cat that's trying to help out his master by assembling an artifact for him. So you do cat things to try and find the pieces you need to put together. You can gift other people dead mice so they can't finish theirs. You can steal. Yep. You can steal items out of their build area and put them in yours, or you can swat them and knock their cards out of their hand to force them to redraw. And of course, research in the trash can. It's a really cute, fun, fast little card game, and I accidentally won it. Won the tournament. So
sounds really awesome, dude.
Oh yeah. So Chenoweth Games, you can find it. It's called
Kahuna.
Oh my god, dude!
Oh, what was it?
Happy with those comebacks, man.
Says the Japanese have legend about you too, Godzilla. And Kahuna said, "Yes, much to my dismay, hundreds of cute Asian women flee before me."
Yes.
Oh man,
Kahuna. It's a legendary effect. Like it's legendarily flee before you. Yeah.
I don't know how many shots she put on my ice cream, but dang.
I just dipped and poured, so there's probably half a cup in there.
Oh, almost half a cup? Oh, okay. I'm going to be well lubricated tonight before the end of the show. My tongue is going numb, and it's not the ice cream.
Oh, come
Those
on. It's
mountains
only
and skulls,
43.
man. Wow.
Okay. I was reminded it is only 40 proof. The sipping
it?
creams are low proof.
It's only 80% alcohol.
No, yeah, the other way around, 20%.
Oh, my bad.
200 proof is 100% alcohol.
I was gonna say 80% would like evaporate.
Well, they actually do have. We didn't buy those, but they actually have a couple of them there that are like 150 proof, 160 proof.
Yeah, you'll get that. That's about as potent as it gets. I mean, you could do 100% alcohol, but then you're going blind and stuff.
Well, potentially.
How many proof is it? We'll know by how he pronounces his words.
Right.
That's
Kind of like there needs to be a for Daniel P. Riley. Whenever he's on a stream, he's in that chair. There needs to be notches on the side of the chair with a numerical value to let us know how much he's had to drink.
He's like a bottle of whiskey. You measure it in fingers. Except from him, it's the top of the chair.
Someday, Iron Age Knights will have, and I know this because Evely's the host now, and he has just these brilliant ideas like this passively. But like, eventually, I just know there will be a health bar on Daniel P. Riley's stream. Eventually. Yeah, you know.
Oh, I hope so. That would be freaking awesome.
Or like a man.
Oh.
How much mana he has left, or something.
Frequency. I need you to
go
for me.
Yeah, what do you need clipped?
It was on the Berserk stream in which Christian said he was pulling something out his butt, you know? Got the time.
Yikes.
Yeah, he Billy Bob finds the best Kahuna clips. The best Kahuna is out of context Kahuna.
Yeah. You get criticized either way. I tried both ways.
Yes, you do, Christian.
So this is the story of the way. Oh. Oh my god!
You know, that was perfect timing because we do have someone of the LGBTQ plus PBZZ WXYZ community, Lord Otter.
It's Billy Bob's.
Well, there once were two cowboys all alone out on the trail, and they discovered they could sleep with another male. Now they're having butt sex.
Oh, God. Oh, by the way, it's now Wi-Fi. They're now Wi-Fi people.
Is that why you're writing a Western now, Otter?
The letters always change. Yep. So it's Wi-Fi because the letters always change. They're never in the same order, and you don't know from week to week what the password is. So Wi-Fi.
Hell yeah. Yeah, what I was saying about earlier about my paladin character.
Mhm.
Yeah, you mentioned the nanotechnology, which blew my mind. So like that's kind of the route I went with it. This, I was like, how do I, if magic's tied to objects, how do I, create like the necromancer, dark lord, wizard? Essentially, how do you make a high level wizard, right? And the first answer is get all the magic items together and just kind of like, I don't know, what's a good example? Go all Boba Fett on them, I guess would be the best way to do it. But
you use the Pokemon method. Got to collect them all.
Yeah, yeah. But then even then, I mean, I don't know, man. There's certain things like maybe some of them will tap into your body as an energy resource, so you could actually accidentally shoot yourself in the foot, quite literally. But I mean, a good.
Hey, have you ever seen the? I think it's called The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Have you seen that?
I haven't. Is it good?
Yeah, it's the guy who played Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2. I can't remember his name.
Alfred Molina.
Yes. And Nicolas Cage, and they're both wizards from the past. And when they got free, they were going around collecting magical items to try and outdo each other.
Interesting. Okay, so
very cool.
That would be kind of
Nicolas Cage like a wild mage or something?
No, he was a good guy, and Alfred Molina played the bad guy. But he
loves doing those.
He popped up later on, and he had went and killed some other wizards and witches and took their pendants and stuff. And he shows up with a staff, and he's like, "I got some new jewelry."
He's also a vampire.
Oh, jeez. By the way,
was he?
Yeah, have you ever heard of Vampire's Kiss?
Oh, God.
No.
A, B, C, D, E.
So,
by the way, I sent you the link about hacking matter. I tell you, the points that he brings up and the technology that actually has been proven and the next step for it is just astonishing.
They have smart matter right now. They have smart matter. Yeah.
Quantum wells, yeah,
they do.
I use it extensively I use it extensively in my Dream Nebula series.
Yeah.
Yes, Herman was referencing Sorcerer's Apprentice. Somehow it popped over to that real quick as AC was telling us about nanotech and magic items.
Yeah. My magic system, Herman, is tied to objects. That's basically the summary of it, right? So we were talking about paladins earlier. Yeah, and I mean the concept of Sorcerer's Apprentice, I kind of want to check it out now. I mean, Nick Cage is kind of hit or miss, but even when he's missed, it's super entertaining because it ends up being funny, right?
Yeah, at least he always puts some kind of effort into his role.
Right. For a second, I thought you guys were talking about that vampire movie with Nicolas Cage, and I was like, I don't even know if I want to see that.
For a brief second, we were talking about it.
Frequency, you've watched the movie before. I know you have. One with Nicolas Cage. He believes he's been turned into a vampire, and he isn't.
Is that the Sorcerer's Apprentice? The vampire?
No, that's a different movie.
No, I think it's a different movie.
Sorcerer's Apprentice had the dude from Step Brothers.
Oh, yeah, like Bill O'Reilly or something. Yeah,
I don't know his name. He was
O'Reilly Auto Parts or something. I don't know.
O'Reilly.
Oh, God, I haven't heard that.
Hey, I drive auto parts around all day long, and now I got to hear this.
Kahuna, we were talking about paladins. If you didn't catch that earlier.
Paladins.
Yes.
Well, it depends. Are you talking about like the Holy Warrior? Or are you talking about like the D&D class? What's your angle?
It was Holy Warrior was my understanding. Am I right, guys? Was that what you were talking about?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, I was mostly referring to those with like who receive some kind of magical ability from their, but we kind of got into the paladin type a little bit. That didn't involve the mysticism angle.
Well, let's go all the way back to the OG. Let's go with Samson of the Bible. He took the jawbone of an animal and killed 1,000 men. If that's not a holy warrior, I don't know what is.
And there's also like,
and how did he lose? He told his wife of all people how to make his strength go away, and she immediately went and did it first opportunity.
No, Wrangler, he didn't tell his wife. He told the bro.
Delilah.
He told the
filthy New York whore.
I thought Delilah was his wife.
Nope.
No, she was
a
some
prostitute.
internet bitch.
Oh no shit.
He thought.
Yeah.
you
Also,
just made-
did God debuff his intelligence stat? Because
Yes.
he gave her multiple opportunities. It's like, oh, that's
He
weird. I
lied to
told
her
her
3 times. I mean, this is like an NFL star talking to a side piece until he's busted by the paparazzi.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're back.
Kahuna, did you warp again?
He did.
I dropped you guys, but you're safe. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Oh, my head.
He accidentally flipped over to Hawaii.
Oh, dude, if I can figure out how to do that, I'll have it come back. I'm on the beach. Anyway, I'm back in my native territory here. Walking around, I'll point out the white guy with the weird dreadlocks, and you realize it's a octopus on his head, and you'll never be the same.
Frederick.
Real story, by the way.
Is Gromar a holy warrior?
What? My D&D character? I don't know. I didn't go into a whole lot of backstory.
Well, now you have
He's,
new backstory about not putting on gauntlets that you have no clue about.
Wait, Billy Bob, the real question.
Hey, that sauce.
Is Skull Knight a holy warrior?
Don't you mean Skull Nut?
No.
So we actually did.
Oh, yeah,
we did
Skull Nut.
factor in. I think we did factor in fallen paladins. That was the thing, right? Was that also like an anti-paladin? We were talking about anti-paladins.
Skull Knight's not a
Yes.
paladin.
Oh, okay.
I would based on his not his aesthetic, but based on his actions, I would say yes. Based on what I've
But
seen
he's
him
not.
do. Yeah.
He's not fighting for God or anything.
Well, yeah, but he fights.
He's
He
basically
fights.
just
He
guts
fights
fighting for
evil.
revenge.
Yeah, but he kills evil things, man. I would would Solomon Kane qualify? He's like a 17th century paladin. He fights evil. He fights in the name of God. Destroys.
Skull
Sounds
Knight
like
doesn't fight in the name of God. That's the thing.
That's true.
So now that I thought about it for a minute, I just realized Samson was the real life Kronk.
Or as Otter likes to call him, Skull Nut.
Yeah. I was just gonna say,
yeah.
I have a Death Knight. Closest I get to a paladin is a Death Knight, which those who play for D&D are familiar with, is like a fallen paladin, right? It's or like a servant of a lich, right? The lich is a mortal evil wizard who grants unnatural.
That sauce says anti-paladin is a necromancer.
Okay.
That
Yeah,
makes sense.
so I do have an anti-paladin and a
Well,
Death Knight.
it's even from the position of even in games and fantasy, when you think of paladin, it's how are they different than just a regular fighter? Oh, well, they're at least blessed, or they're given some sort of holy reverence of some kind. So there is something about them that's different than just a regular high class fighter type.
Otter, didn't we?
I wonder if that would count in my system, because the original necromancer in my world was Sekhmet, who was the goddess.
We were actually talking about this the other day with paladins, the difference between a paladin and a cleric.
Yeah,
Well,
good topic.
Well, a cleric is a slightly more passive role in regards to
He ministers to the people spiritually as well, rather than being a straight up warrior. I think, is that right, Kahuna?
Well, it's like
in the old systems, they usually they're better at buffing and destroying specifically undead, but they're not necessarily fighters in the same way that paladins usually are.
It's more like it's more like a cleric is sworn to one god. They're pretty much carrying out their will as best as they can. Paladin is kind of similar to that, but more than anything, they're supposed to be a paragon character. It's like they are the do-gooder of D&D. It's just as much about moral character as it is about serving a deity. So that's
what's kind of funny though is my paladin is, I have my two characters, and the paladin a couple times has to be told to watch her mouth.
Well, that's the reason why paladins in older systems were strictly lawful good. They had to be a paragon. Even in later editions, you see kind of like how it happens whenever they break their oath, or it's like the active subversion of a paladin. We were kind of arguing about it the other day about if the difference between a world where there is more just kind of like black and white, good and evil, and then one where it's a bit more morally ambiguous, how a paladin would fit in there.
Yeah, because that's kind of why I have to kind of rack my brain a little bit and come to an understanding with you guys on the definition of a paladin and stuff. Well, do anti-paladins count? What about like a lich lord type person or a death knight?
Well, AC, this is also a fantasy story, so it's like in a fantasy story you have a little bit more like a wiggle room. You can have a paladin who is very devoted to the ideals of their god, but what if their god isn't very good? Like Otter in his book, I would say General Karst would qualify as a paladin of her particular goddess.
Yes, but she is not good.
Right. Well, but it's not good. But she does exemplify the things about her goddess.
The best way I can describe the conflict in Steel and Stormbright is it's chaotic good versus lawful evil, which is a lot of stories. In fairness, mine's nothing new there.
In some ways, though, could General Karst be more compared to the gods' avatars in the MCU? For example, Black Panther T'Challa is an avatar for Bastet, and Moon Knight he is an avatar for Khonshu. So they're enhanced by their powers. They're still their own person, but their powers are enhanced by their gods, and they're considered avatars. Because
I can't wait until y'all read the second book when it's done.
Still got many drafts to go.
Well, like even in the MCU, you have kind of Knights of Thanos, so to say. They kind of act as his will. Then you have
the children of Thanos,
then you have the Heralds of Galactus, which because it's comics have included Thor and a whole bunch of other characters.
Do you count? And
when Thor was made a herald, you know what happened at the end of that run, right?
I'm trying to remember. It's been so long since I read it.
Thor, since he has the ability to pull and channel energy, he used that amp of the power cosmic to yank the rest of the power cosmic out of Galactus and then kill him.
Oh, there you go.
And pretty much he detonated Galactus like a bomb to destroy a multiversal being that was consuming entire universes.
Now, since Galactus is not clearly right there, because you just proved that he can die, right? So, like, since he's not,
yes, he can.
And that's nothing new in like the world of like MCU or even like the DC universe. Like they probably kill literal gods, but I'm talking about capital G, in the sense like to the point where they can make a paladin. Galactus is kind of fitting the bill, but because of like what you just said, it kind of leads me to think more in the other vein of like a lich, right? A lich creating Death Knight. So the Silver Surfer would just be a very powerful Death Knight of this powerful wizard. For lack of a better
that makes me think more of Apocalypse and his Four Horsemen.
Okay, so Galactus would be like a capital G god, and Silver Surfer would be like a paladin. Then,
I think Galactus would still count as a small G, because capital G means the one true creator of all.
You're right.
Or Galactus would not fit that bill.
True omnipotence. It's broken by design.
But paladin though, Silver Surfer, yay, nay.
Kinda.
You can use different words. Like if you're taking into account the will of the particular underlined G god, like small time god. It does kind of count. It does kind of work.
Yeah,
right?
Galactus does count as a god being in the Marvel Universe. Small G he may be, he is still a god being, and he's more powerful than even the Skyfather levels, like even Odin. I mean, Odin's been able to box with Galactus, but Odin doesn't usually come out on top of those too often.
Yet Phoenix 2 beat him to a pulp. Phoenix 2 beat him to a pulp in Excalibur 50.
Who to a pulp? Odin?
Galactus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
because
was gonna say, I mean, I know Phoenix and Odin kind of smashed, but I didn't know they fought.
Rachel Summers.
You need to phrase
went
that
to
differently,
kill him.
Wrangler.
No, I meant that no, Odin and Phoenix were a couple.
Smash!
Yeah, they were a thing way back when.
Yeah, Rachel Summers. Rachel Summers went out to kill Galactus because of him eating worlds, and she pounded him to a pulp when he then exposed the truth about the source of the Phoenix Force's power, and that is potential life. So while she was having no problems beating him down, he was wearing out, and she could just keep going, and that's when he told her basically she was snuffing life before it even existed.
The phrasing here.
They go.
Right.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she really brought him to pound down. Really made him learn his lesson. Really
pounded him
really
to a
took it
pulp.
to him.
Really beating him down.
She beat him with both hands.
Yeah.
No, I do love that one Thor storyline.
Mentally speaking, I'm 5 here.
Oh, hello.
What do you got, a B?
Oh,
and there he goes.
But yeah, we can agree that like a paladin is a warrior getting power from some sort of higher power, right?
Yep, and fighting the I guess fighting on their behalf to like.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be capital G, all creator of the entire universe type.
Yeah, because I mean, for example, look at Muhammad Ibn Fadlan in Immortal Rising. He would be a paladin type for Andronicus.
Right.
But there are many types of gods, and there are gods above him, like Locutus. So, I think Locutus would be in that world considered the big G god. I am not certain. It's still only the second issue hasn't come out yet. There's a lot of lore in it already, and so I start making assumptions and get ideas in my head sometimes, and forget to separate out which is which.
Yeah, I think my character I had in mind then qualifies for sure. Because you make your body a magical object, right? And the best way to do that, the nanotech that Boncher was talking about. One of my favorite episodes of Futurama. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the gas station egg sandwich episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fry gets
I love that one.
It feels like a Spaceballs reference.
It was depressing ending though, kind of.
Dude, it has
a lot of Futurama's depressing.
It has good writing. It has sad, happy. It's not just. I feel like they were making some sort of weird, profound point there in that episode. So it's one of my favorites. The worms, essentially, just for anybody listening who doesn't know, he gets infected with space worms, and these worms are a parasite, but they because they live in his
They're
body.
actually a symbiote.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're smart worms. So because they live in his body, they treat his body like the earth or something. They understand that if his body
they built a statue of actual Fry, and they consider him the god of their universe.
Yep, the known world.
This is what we think the world looks like. Yeah, and it looks like Fry. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty great. But anyway, they do it in a really goofy way in the show, but the idea always stuck with me ever since I saw this as a kid. So they're in there, they're massaging his muscles. They're zapping his brain and hooking everything up to it so it's all optimal. He doesn't get sick because they just keep everything clean. There's teams of worms that are just keeping the entire body clean. And there's a whole city in his gut that doesn't affect him at all, just because they're so advanced or whatever, But that always stuck with me because it made Fry super smart. It made him super quick reflexes and stuff too. It kind of implied
possible Fry.
Yeah. So
they say that
it might
peak Fry.
Yeah, and he has to battle with himself. Is this really me or whatever, or is it the worms? Yeah, and he cuts his own cerebellum inside of it. That's an epic episode, guys. Man,
he made a miniature avatar of himself so he could go inside his own body and fight them.
It's so dumb. It's awesome.
I love it. But those worms, man, that is the futuristic way of how you that's how you get a healing factor, for example. That's how you live forever. You get
good gut flora.
Yeah, you get nanobots or something. So if my magic is tied to objects already, you can easily tie them to microscopic objects in your blood. So I have a character undergo a transformation. It's really cool. I looked up near-death experiences and stuff, and it's an entire chapter. It's awesome. I really enjoyed doing that. But it's like a symbolic death of a certain character and a rebirth of another one. After this transformation, the blood is filled with these magic. So if I have a magic crystal, like the protagonist of my graphic novel, they're Vikings. I gave them the Viking crystal. Are you guys familiar with the real life crystals that Vikings use to see the sun on cloudy days?
Yes, sunstone. That would be calcium. Calcium.
Yeah.
Pyrite.
Hey, old traveler, what are you doing here in Skyrim?
Frequency, damn, you had the volume all the way up to like 86. Damn.
The music was just too good. I couldn't resist.
I know. So anyway, Vikings, crystals, sunstone. That's why. But in this story, this character has a very, very basic version of magic in my world. It is literally just a crystal. If one crystal has the power to do what that happens in the story, the king casts electricity across the seawater and evaporates it and creates hydrogen out of it and stuff like that. And at the end, the protagonist is shooting intense plasma lightning blasts out of it and stuff, and absorbing the heat of a forest fire. The fire goes out and the crystal recharges. You know what I mean? So these are insane batteries, if you want to think of it that way. And if that's just one, what would billions of them in your bloodstream be like? And what if those were all smart like Fry's worms? Then you can create a death knight. This is where I get to my paladin finally.
It's time to enchant the contents of my salt shaker.
Yes.
Enchantment?
Or some sort of weird occult, lich lord or something. One of your friends dies, and grieving, you try anything you can, and for some reason the voices in your head or whatever's inside your body now is urging you to put a little blood in his mouth. And from there, he's a part of you. You can hear his thoughts. You can control him even in a weird removed way. He's walking around. He's not the same. The dude dies. He's brought back, and he's basically puppeted by these little by an extension of these fry worms, right? And so essentially, whenever this dude is just like I said, a warlord, like a drag. I want you to think Krogans from Mass Effect. That's what the male Dragonborn are like in RK. Everything is bigger and more masculine than humans, and for good reason. My humans are endangered. They hide behind ancient walls, like Attack on Titan or some shit. From orcs coming from the north and reptilians in the jungles all around him and stuff. It's crazy. Drathis is just ripped. He has all the armor that you would imagine. They find a stash of ancient weapons, and sure enough, there's a badass sword among them. So you can imagine the jagged black armor of a fallen paladin with the big berserk sword or something. And he's just messed up permanently just from being killed over and over again. Because if you take him down, these fry worms come out, and guess what? You leave that sitting for a little bit on a battlefield. Let's say he's taken down in the middle of a battle. The crows come out. It's a battlefield that you would expect for the next 3 days as everything rots. Those things are going to come out and start devouring the bodies around it in order to reconstruct his body in a very Lovecraftian kind of way. They gotta get energy. It's a very slow healing factor if you want to kill it.
That sounds like a miserable one to go through too.
You could stumble across. Yeah. It's a cloud. It's a cloud that comes out and slowly, just almost like fungus or something, just will pull a body next to it in and just devour it and reconstitute Drathis.
That's
so
good.
Yeah. So
if he keeps going, it's going to be like a Grey Goose scenario. It'll be like Tetsuo.
Right. Killable, but he will be back, much like a vampire or something, right?
I believe
Yeah.
By the way, is a graphic novel the same story as your prose novel, or a different story set in the same universe?
Same world, based on my actual full length is a story of essentially the origin story of my Dark Lord. Everything I've been talking about has basically been from my full length. This graphic novel is from a spin-off collection of short stories, which are each a legendary event that went down. So this is him and Horfist, who all orcs know as Hellfist the Dragon Eater, and I reveal dragons in my world at the end of this one. Spoilers, but not really.
Spoiler, not spoiler.
Dragons are in fantasy, so you can deduce I probably had dragons somewhere.
Not mine. I deliberately avoided dragons in my setting.
In my novel, I avoided it. They talk about stories, and they're regarded as mythical and stuff. But then, boom, here you go. You know what I mean? Not so mythical. But yeah, these are each historical events. This particular one is the Viking themed one.
Excellent.
Yeah, same world, different story. To answer your question.
Yeah.
This dude,
which is the best order to read them in? I know they don't directly connect, but would you suggest reading one before the other to get a better idea, to fill in some blanks?
My full length isn't out yet, so as of right now, it doesn't necessarily matter what order you read it in. But I knew that it was going to be a little bit before my 150,000 words was where I wanted it to be before I because I put a lot of personal stuff into that too. I wrote that while my wife was pregnant and stuff. But after the fact, I had all this world building done for like the magic system. As you guys heard me rambling on about it, I could keep going too about that, because literally at the end there's the big epic moment. Like I don't know who mentioned it earlier. Somebody said you just collect a bunch of magic items. That would be how you do it. Yeah, that happens. And if your whole body is the battery for those items, you can just power them all forever. And you can toss on a trench coat and have some Matrix type scenes, right? With magic.
Now the question I'm really wondering about: what the hell happened to Kahuna?
Right, he fell. I think he's in between worlds.
I hope he's not stuck there.
Shattered.
He might have transcended into Kahuna Land.
Right.
Where in the world is Ultimate Kahuna?
Where in the world is Ultimate Kahuna? Woo!
Oh, that works. That's not.
It works very well.
Yeah,
looks like we got something to play with later.
Right. Yeah, I tried to rate each story to be independent, good entry level. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Wouldn't make sense to just start referencing things you guys don't even know about. So I just took. It's almost like having a Silmarillion of your own world in your head. What can you do with that without referencing the other novel directly? You could do a lot with that. You can talk about Mordor. You could talk about Gondor, just for starters. You could talk. You know what I'm saying? You could talk about the Ishtar. Is that what they're called?
I really appreciate it whenever you can write out multiple stories that are, even if they're sequels or prequels, it's still like you can enjoy them as a self-contained entry or whatever. I always
beautiful Pritchard.
It's always nice whenever that happens. Whenever it doesn't, it's a lot harder to actually get into and enjoy.
Yeah. All the each of the short stories, the world building references in there are so I pointed out how I reveal that dragons actually exist in my world in that Saga of Suns in my graphic novel, right? Each story kind of is doing its own world building. So like I said, it's entry level. So any presumptions that I give you as a reader are the same ones I took when writing it. So when I say the Fruchten Empire in this story that's technically on Arcade, except there's guns and tanks and stuff. I love that story. That exists now at some point in time, either forward or backwards. It's the world's as old as it needs to be. So it's whenever there was guns on arcade and humans were effing everything up like World War II style.
That's hail Catherine Pritchard in the chat.
Yeah. Hello, wifey. She's the best. She's on the way home. I'm gonna hop off when she gets home. If that's cool with you guys.
Actually, we're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes here anyway.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully she's getting home now.
Soonish. Yeah.
We're getting badass friends. I didn't know I was expecting a delivery.
Right. Shout outs to Based Wives, right, Poncher?
Oh, absolutely. Based Wives for the win.
Yeah. She's getting you all gassed up for later.
That's right. I'm swell lubricated.
Get another.
Oh, there's the link to your Kickstarter once again down in the chat.
Oh,
you got that's just a cool shot.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's a flashback to the protagonist's backstory in this. This particular story is it's like a parade of characters and a travel log. So if you like we talked about Macapan and Paladins a lot. If you like Macapan's story, I think you could actually get behind this too, because it's kind of in the same vein, just a short story version, like traveling characters, flashbacks, flashbacks happening as the story unfolds, which is what this scene is. He doesn't have a nose because frostbite. He even lost
Frostbite's a bitch.
Yeah, my orcs live in like the polar regions. They follow the ice. Essentially, it's the world's perpetually in an ice age that's partially melting and partially freezing at the same time as the planet rotates.
So this is Lord Frosty the Orc Man.
Yeah, essentially, him and Horfist. Because
this guy here,
Frozen Hands. No, that's just one of the orcs pillaging villages in Viking fashion. Essentially, what's happening here is there's a bunch of rogue bulls, as he calls them. Male orcs that are those would be bulls, and rogue, barbarians, rogues. You can deduce from there. So they're like pillaging every village between the mountains. He heard of that ahead of time and basically got all of his cousins and brothers and stuff together and just like waited in the snow until they showed up and until there was a moment right in the middle of a blizzard, and just like half frozen, they all charged in and just took all these guys out. And so he became known as him and Horfist after that, and he lost his nose because of it. And
wow.
It's just like a quick flashback right away when the story starts, so
Now, in your world, obviously orcs are a different species from humans, but do they have like any big biological differences, or are they comparable to like a 6 foot tall orc is going to be comparable to a 6 foot tall human, or is one going to be stronger than the other? Another have a different capacity that the other doesn't have?
So this is the creative license of Luke Stone. I gave him a lot of creative freedom because I wanted to see Luke Stone have fun making orc Vikings. It just sounds awesome. Just hear Luke Stone make some orc Vikings. Let's go. But no, they're truer to actual Warhammer 40k orcs. They're very brutal. They're nomadic. They're pretty hairy, actually, all over their arms and neck, and because they live in the Winterlands, right? And yeah, they tame things like mammoths, and they have a very Spartan-esque rite of passage where like the adolescent is sent out into the winter wilderness, and what's either going to happen is you're going to get eaten by like a predator, or you're going to come back with a predator pelt. But if you freeze to death out there, you're a wuss, because they believe the two gods they believe in are life and death. So the only way to feed that cycle of life and death and honor their gods is to either be eaten by a predator or to eat or be eaten, right? Like
so you got a whole culture,
and
if you freeze customs and everything.
If you freeze to death as an orc, you'll be shamed, even if you're a great orc, because that's just like kind of against their ways. Because think about it, you're not allowed to rot. Even the act of like your body rotting and decomposing is like other creatures feeding on you, and like breaking you down. You're continuing the cycle. But if you freeze a body, if you mummify it, if you do anything to halt this process, it's unnatural to them. Even burning it is unnatural. What are you doing? You're preventing the cycle from. You're just burning. You're just gonna burn it. Okay. They probably believe that that's like their soul is gone forever after you do that.
I could see how they would see that as that seems like a very unnatural thing to them. Therefore, is like something that's an abomination in their eyes.
Yep. The orcs, as you can see, their entire like culture and stuff just came naturally to me. I don't understand like what clicked. Maybe it's the idea of the duality of life and death. It's essentially good and evil too, right? You can do a lot of things with this.
They seem both primal yet practical.
A little bit, yeah. I want you to think of like Mongolians, not just Vikings. I went Vikings with this particular route, but really they're all of these like quote unquote barbaric, nomadic races.
Nomadic forces to be reckoned with.
Yeah, or in the case of Vikings, pillaging. What is it? Yeah, pillaging, raiding, the raiders. So, yeah. But yeah, they're much larger than humans, hairier, brutal. Perfect for. I mean, they send their adolescents to go hunt like saber-tooth. One of the characters in A Saga of Sunsets is known for killing a snow bear when he was like a kid. I mean, he got lucky, obviously. You can imagine.
And would that be a direct equivalent to what we know of as a polar bear?
Yep. Imagine a slightly bigger polar bear, but with big red horns, red, brown, black horns.
Oh, dang. Because our real world polar bears are already the biggest bear that we have. So.
Yeah. Make them a little bigger so they're like a dire bear, right? Like a dire wolf size. Give them horns. That's a orc snow bear.
That's pretty metal, I'm not going to lie.
Dude, some of them have them.
Mr. Bear, what are the horns for? I didn't think I was scary enough yet.
Here, I'm going to show you really quick. I have a picture of the king. The king has snow bear horns on his crown. His crown is the description is it's rimmed with predator teeth and topped with 2 giant red bear horns. Like, I love that I just said, oh, those are bear horns, like as if everybody knows what I'm talking about. Like, bears don't have horns, but they do in my world.
Those are jackalope horns.
One of my writing prompts for the art competition that we're hosting for the campaign is a horned bear fighting a dragon. So I just want to see that at all in anybody's art style. That would be cool. I'm really low-key hoping that's the one that the wins, so I can see that as a full-page spread. So you can see the horns there, and orcs are huge already. So, yeah. And these would all be predator teeth. So, like, I don't know, saber-tooth tiger, whatever, other bears.
Have you shown this to Johnny Douglas and Devil's Air? I'm sure both of them would absolutely love this.
I think I'm on both of their radars, and I've been plastering this everywhere. This is cover C. This is going to be the oversized, nice flying ship there. This is going to be the oversized. Say again?
A Merkaba?
Yeah.
The symbol on top, the Merkaba?
Oh, that's some Luke Stone artist rendition. They don't have a symbol on the ship. Luke just was having fun with that, and I'm okay with it. That's cool. I mean, there's a lot of, stars have a lot of symbolism. There's a lot of balance. Mm-hmm. Like, that can go with the story. And not to mention, the ship is named Evening Star. So I think he just wanted a star on the sail because of the name of the ship. The Evening Star, which...
It's a good name for... Is that an airship?
It is, yeah. You can see the silhouette of the big gas balloon. I got this idea in my head of how... Because, okay, Viking longships are notoriously one of the... they're one of the... How do I put this? One of the most basic ocean-faring ships that exist, right? It's like, it comes down to Viking longships and like Polynesian canoes, right? These are like historically some of the most successful and earliest ocean farers. So that's for a reason, right?
Polynesian canoes could just slice through the surface of the water.
Yeah, and these ships were huge, but not too huge. Like they were still like light enough for like the Vikings would pull it aboard and carry it across the land, and then plop it into like the Great Lake, and then sail across the Great Lake, and then pull it out, and then like carry it and sleep in it and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, Viking orcs with their amphibious vehicles.
My Vikings are just steam powered, so those long ships have paddle wheels.
Yes, yes, get it. But yeah, I took just like one of the basic ideas of a ship that historically did work, and I was like, well, it might be a little bit of a reach, but if it was super successful in the ocean, it's probably in the right direction for the air. So I'm kind of ignoring weight and stuff here and just saying, it works. Flying longship here. Instead of like rowing, you can see the wings here on the side. They're called oar wings. They kind of do similar things where they can reposition these wings and then lock them into place, and essentially the ship turns very slowly. It's not much control. The whole point is just being able to fly over the ocean in general.
I could just envision that thing slowly turning and drifting as they're trying to get this thing whipped to another direction. And while they're sitting there waiting for that slow meandering turn, somebody starts blasting "Highway to the Danger Zone."
Yep, exactly. No, this story is rife for those 80s montage.
No, I'm just expecting an orc to fly by, flipping the bird upside down somehow.
Yes. With a red headband and a sleeveless shirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's just go full 80s.
Let's go. There is a. Oh man, now you gotta. Okay, so we're talking about rock bands. Let me show this. I got a character, Usik the Unlucky. He is a bard. He's a bard, and he's got the headband. He's got the headband. I think he does. Yeah, he does. Okay, let me share this. It's not a red headband.
I got to bail, so I'll see you guys next time.
All right, MD, give it one quick last plug on your way out.
Yeah.
All right. Look for my website, and that is resonantmedia.art. You can find me there. You can also find me on Bandcamp under Resonant One, Facebook MD Boncher, as well as Resonant Media Arts. So you can find me in all those places. Oh yeah, Substack. I'm on there too as well. I think I gave you a link for that one, and you put it up earlier. So yeah, all those places. Next place that we're going to be showing up for a next event is Big Lit Comic Con, first weekend of August. And if you're able to get to Roanoke, check it out. Meet us there and have fun. So
all right, sounds awesome. Thanks for joining us, MD. You have a good one.
You too. Bye con Dios.
Bye con Dios.
The first image I opened up didn't work, so I'm just gonna open this one up. But yeah, I don't mean to make the stream drag on anymore, but you guys got me fired up. All right, there it is.
Oh yes, and Maji says King Bob is looking for writers for a short project for his Substack. Talk to Bob for details.
Count me in. What is it?
I don't know the exact details, so that's why I just did it that way.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know where I left off there, but now you guys have a hefty dose of RK magic. So, I mean, that's the closest I got to a paladin. I'm pretty sure he would lose most fights against other paladins. I don't think the paladin's like smite would like be super effective, quote unquote, against him, because it's not technically evil magic powering him. It's more like a crazy ancient hive mind.
How he would do against my paladin probably depends at what point in her life he comes across her. She becomes a paladin at the age of 11, and that, I mean, she has mystical blasts and stuff, but now when she's around some kind of evil, demonic, or Luciferian or abominable type entity, her energy shifts into the paladin energy, and then her blast become very, very harmful to these types of people. All right, but this is her at 11. One of these types of presence like this has to come near her for her to tap into that. And in fact, the goddess of death figured out a way to animate bodies without setting off that paladin ability of hers. So, however, if he runs into her as an adult, she can call that energy up at will.
I like that idea where it's not active until evil is nearby. It's like Frodo's sword, or
even Hal Cedric's sword. Yeah. Her paladin energy comes up much the same way, but that's like when she first tapped into it. Once she's an adult and trained and all that, she's able to control it, bring it up at will.
Well, that's how Ghost Rider summons his powers. He's not a paladin. In fact, he's probably the exact opposite. But he has to be around significant evil in order to summon his powers.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, good point, Maji. Ghost Rider probably would be a good example of an anti-paladin.
He is,
because he's working for Mephisto.
Yeah, and that's an entity bestowing powers. So, I mean, yeah, that's a very good catch. He's a paladin. I like Ghost Rider a lot more now. Actually, it's cool. Or like a warlock, right? That's
he rebels against his power source, but his power source for some reason likes it because it sends him souls, so he lets him keep it.
You could probably argue that
Spawn.
You could probably argue that warlocks are sort of like the evil variant of the paladin, at least if we're talking about the later editions of D&D and other fantasy systems.
How about the Antichrist?
Right.
That's one way to put it.
That would be like Vecna, right? So that's a super lich, like beyond. Yeah, the Antichrist would definitely be like somebody bestowing power. Would be somebody creating one of these Death Knights, right?
So, do you want to know the story behind Vecna? It's a really funny story, actually.
I've heard a little. Lay it on me.
Do you want to know?
I don't know who that is.
Do you want to know how Vecna got her name?
Sure.
Are we talking about the same Vecna?
Yeah. Vecna is an anagram for Vance, as in Jack Vance.
Yeah. So this is a good story. Tell everybody. It's a good one.
Yeah, I don't know much more about Vecna than that. Other than that, she's like an undead lich goddess, I think. I think in Greyhawk she is a goddess.
Yeah, he literally does become a god at one point. That's his whole thing, is like when D&D needs an archetypal like lich, necromancer lord, they always go to Vecna. He's like one of the original ones, to the point where like his body parts became wholly powerful art, right? Like the right hand of Vecna, the eye of Vecna, stuff like that.
Yeah, the eye and the hand of Vecna, I even think that is kind of like based off of the story of Corum, because something similar happens to him as well. He loses his eye and his hand, and he gets magical ones replacing it.
Is that D&D lore or real life?
It's actually Michael Moorcock, but it kind of like sort of inspired it in a way.
Oh, I have no doubt they mined that. D&D mined the hell out of that.
That's one thing I do really like about Gygax. The dude was very upfront about his influences.
I mean, yeah, there's real demon names in the game, but yeah.
Yes.
It's crazy. He just puts it all there. What was your question, Majin? Sorry.
Where does Constantine fit in that?
Interesting. That's a paladin.
Is he really, though?
I think he is. He fights.
He's rejected, though.
You're right.
He's rejected by both sides. So is he?
He's an oath breaker.
Paladin, or
is God giving him power? I think that's the kicker. Or is he just like?
You talking in the DC universe?
Otter, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the fucking OG D&D, paladins do not get special powers.
I think they do. It's just not quite the same as clerics. They still get powers from their deity, but it's not 1-to-1 or anything like that.
Also, I fucked Otter up on the. If your god tells you to burn the orphanages of kids. He said technically you should be breaking your oath since you have to be lawfully good.
I was about to say, in D&D, you can't break your oath or you're screwed as a paladin.
Well, it's more or less the argument on what is lawful good. Is lawful good objectively defined? Like, is it synonymous with the god your character is serving? Or is it something else? I think that was more of the heart of the discussion, where it's like, if you're serving a lawful good god, but that god wants you to burn down an orphanage full of children or something, what do you do? What does your paladin do? Because they got to remain lawful good and they've got to follow the will of their god.
Well, okay, so my brother has one of those Trump characters because of his god. Oh my gosh, his paladin is Oath of Levita. So basically, he follows his god by tormenting his followers and healing them to death.
That's messed up. King Bob!
So when he goes to injure his people or his team, they all get healed, but they have to go through the torments of being injured in the first place.
Oh, you're not injured? Here, let me fix that for you. Now it's time for me to heal.
Remember, technically,
I got better.
Blessings.
Technically, pillaging the ruins, if they're against the law in the land, you're technically not being lawful good. Going through them dungeons.
It's always best to look on the bright side.
Hey, Bob, you want to come talk about your project? Because I couldn't give any details. It doesn't help answer the question.
Otter, you're not ready.
Maji posted, "Hey guys." I think it was supposed to be "Hey guys," but she posted, "Hey guys, King Bob is looking for writers for a short project for his Substack. Talk to Bob for details." I'm not that complicated, Maji.
So Bob is saying, from what I just heard, Otter, that god is no longer a lawful good god. Therefore, you would no longer be obligated to follow his orders.
Hail, everybody. How y'all doing? Nice coming at the final moment.
Here, I'm going to bail out so you can invite Bob. Okay.
Well, hold up. Who's deciding whether it's lawful or
But
not?
there's room for Bob. You don't, unless he's,
Oh.
yeah. Yeah, well, our limit is 10.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I got to send him the link.
Billy, I feel like we're getting into the chicken and the egg argument here. It's
Well,
like,
I'm just saying.
It's like, does
Technically,
lawful and
whatever they
good,
say is
chaos
lawful
and
and
evil,
good.
does it transcend the gods, or are the gods the ones who dictate
Well,
that?
If you're going off of D&D lore, some of the gods are evil to begin with.
We're not going off of D&D lore. We're just going off in general.
I think lawful is more of a catch-all term than more so of a strict guideline, you know? Is it law-based? Is this breaking the law of the land? I don't know.
Yeah, it depends on the rule system and the lore of which universe. I mean, for example, Maji, you've read the second book. Elizabeth becomes a paladin, but would you see Elizabeth as being a strictly lawful good, or more of a? Or she could be. You could see her going a little neutral good.
No, she's chaotic good.
I was trying to be nice with a neutral, but yeah, she could go a little off the rails, but she does stick to her faith. So.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she's staring at the goddess of death in the face, and she's like, "Nah, you're nothing to me."
Yeah, that didn't go well for her. But
No, she got her butt kicked.
What you're saying is you want to play a paladin in that one D&D.
Sure, no, I really don't.
Why not?
That's assuming I even want to play one D&D.
I know.
I'll try it out for one session just to see what I think about it.
How am I supposed to tell you if your mic is high if I'm already high and I can't tell?
No, that's true. But I'm kind of interested in Pritchard's idea of paladins. They sound really
Otter,
interesting.
you're the one who brought up the 1D&D for the session.
No, I didn't. What are you
What?
talking about?
Oh, yeah, my idea of paladins, another entity bestowing power. Is that yeah.
Well, when you were talking about your orc paladins.
Yeah. Which one?
Billy Bob, I don't think Otter can talk about it because he has a D&D NDA.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of NDA,
he's like, oh yeah.
Speaking of,
King Bob is on screen with us now. How's it going, man?
What up, Bob?
Just trying to make sure this is working.
Yeah, you're working.
Sound good?
Yeah, you sound good.
All right, not too loud, not too quiet. Nice. So yeah, as far as I understand, Otter, you as a lawful good character cannot follow an evil god. So as soon as your god tells you to do something evil, immediately you get to follow another god that's lawful good. That's just how it works.
That's cool.
It's like, ooh, I get to pick another.
Pretty much, yeah.
well,
It's like, screw you, bad god. I'm going to come back with a good god, and he's going to be bigger and tougher.
Mm-hmm.
But King Bob, who's dictating what's lawful good?
Depends on the setting, I think.
Generally speaking, the D&D world sets what's good and what's evil. So, killing an unarmed person is accepted as evil. It's just that's how it is in D&D.
So it's
even if you can
metaphysical.
justify it.
It's metaphysical law, chaos, good and evil.
Pretty much, yeah. That's how you do it.
Those are some
That's
weak
if you're
fucking
that's if
gods.
you're putting in an actual their setting.
Well, it's
And
not
like-
my rules. It's D&D rules.
And like in my setting, it like as I was explaining, it's a very like the gods. There's not like actual gods, right? It's just like magic is tied to objects, so it's very pragmatic. That's why I said the like any like sort of divine smite wouldn't necessarily be like super effective against Drathis. I brought up earlier, the dragonborn, swole Krogan looking Death Knight guy. But you might be able to make an argument for undead because he's died. Technically, he's just being maintained by nanobots, basically. So I don't know.
It kind of sounds like you're similar to how Warehouse 13 did their magic imbued into items type thing.
What's Warehouse 13? That sounds awesome. Though. It's about right.
It was connected to Eureka.
Yeah, it was a
It's
sci-fi TV show.
It's essentially a strange mix of Indiana Jones meets X-Files.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to.
Yeah,
I like that description.
And magic is tied to objects.
Yeah,
Have
and
fun.
they
yeah.
just take the items to Warehouse 13 for storage.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And obviously somebody steals a bunch of them at one point, and then they gotta take them down, and it's a whole thing. Obviously, that's gotta happen.
It's a television show. You can only run through so many stories.
Well, the other one it also sounds similar to would be the miniseries of The Librarian. The movies, not the TV show.
I enjoyed the movies.
Librarian as in
me
like
too.
Magic items librarian. Same idea.
Same
I can-
pretty much idea as Warehouse 13, yeah.
All I can think of is UHF's Conan the Librarian.
Love that skit.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. But yeah, it's it would be interesting, like all of my characters are pretty squishy in that regard. Like they're just people, even if they're a dragon. Like my supernatural quote unquote elements come from like my different races. That's why I dive into the different races aspect. It's like, yeah, you can still discuss political matters with all these chess pieces within your world, but more importantly, you can scientifically rationalize super strength, like super like reflexes and stuff like that. Like if the Dragonborn, for example, have like what's it called? Inverted leg, like canine like legs, you know what I mean? There's so much jumping power when a creature has legs like that. You could kick a human's sternum in and they'll go flying, you know what I mean, if they're like the same size. Think of a kangaroo,
King Bob.
Yo.
What's the alignment of your fucking bard character?
I believe it was Chaotic Good, if I remember right.
We gotta get you to play the character again.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun.
Are we talking about the one shot I ran over a year ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I know
big-titted
Maji
orc
had an
chick.
explosive exit.
The big titted orc chick.
Which one?
You were
Oh,
playing.
yeah,
Was this last campaign you ran, Otter, the first one in who knows how long that didn't have giant explosions?
Yes.
I knew something was missing.
I
Is
shot a
Otter the-
succubus god in her fucking tits and her eyes.
Is
Shalar has
Otter-
killed a fucking kraken, become a god, led fish people, now I've killed a succubus.
And Frederick had the absolute worst luck with magic items.
Yeah, Frederick put on gauntlets that makes you drop shit, and then also put his hands in how do you put it?
It was a magic
Succubus,
pool.
Succubus bathwater and lost charisma.
Okay, I ended up beheading the main succubus chick, so it ends all
Yeah,
well.
does that mean he gets his charisma back if he killed the one who took it from him?
Also,
No,
you're all
it's
level
something
6
different.
now, by the way. That's how much XP you got from the fucking one shot.
Well, to be fair, you all
Does
got
bragging about beheading a succubus at least earn him a charisma point when he's chatting up the ladies?
Every time. Every time. They at least take note, right? I was gonna say, would you guys view a like imagine if everybody on Earth uploaded to like the cloud, right? And then the Earth ended, and that database is just sitting somewhere, and then basically all of our minds just kind of over a million years like blend together into one entity, and this entity becomes like sentient and stuff. And there's a lot of technology in this, right? So because it's in the future, assumingly, when there's like Blade Runner level technology, I'd say, like sci-fi.
So this cyber entity would be the collective human consciousness?
Yeah, it's now like a soul, right? At that point, some sort of digital collective.
95%.
It's gone beyond soul. It is now max headroom.
There's billions of consciousnesses and lifetimes blended into one mind and sitting there for millions of years. Like,
What if it ends up being a cruel imitation of the soul? It appears like
Right.
the soul, but it's not
Right.
truly.
It would have to be some very interesting technology, because you're assuming simply by uploading onto technology that somehow the consciousness would still be able to become active in some way instead
True.
of sort of dormant data.
But 95% of its thoughts are going to be formed for millions of years.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's going to be perverted. No, no, this is kind of how I rationalized my otherworldly hive mind, my demon, like, because like if my world is very like grounded in like realism, reality, or whatever, if I want to have some sort of like demon-like entity or god-like entity, I needed to think of something, you know, and that seems pretty darn close. It's like the basilisk, if anybody's familiar with Rocco's basilisk.
Uh-huh.
Or like kind of.
But yeah, it could be, you can technologically make up a godlike entity.
Right. It would be jealous, right? Because it's a bunch of people. I don't specify if it's orcs or humans or even Lovecraftian deep ones or anything like that.
So it's basically a Reaper without one voice.
A Reaper, yeah, that's actually really good. Is that?
It
Mass
depends
Effect?
on what
Mass
point that
Effect.
everybody
Yeah.
was uploaded into the internet though to become this. Because
Mass
if it's from around now, then when somebody contacts this and interfaces, the first thing it's going to type out is skek.
Exactly. No, I imagine it's from a time where even basic tools would seem magical to us. Like I mentioned, the objects like are just at their most basic form would just be a very advanced battery. So like it looks magical to us now, right? So it's that far into the future, wherever that technology would be, is where I assume this race kind of jumped. And like they were like, this is our solution. We're gonna kind of just upload and figure it out. But something went wrong. They got stuck for millions of years, blended all into one, and I'm trying to figure out if this is a god or not, or like a demon. Because like this is what the transformation kind of involves like
maybe with that super that super collection of sentience start to develop psionic powers, and pretty soon won't need a physical form to exist.
To a space laser.
That's going to be the only way you can stop it.
Well, I could see if you have nanobots, right? I established the nanobots earlier. Maybe each individual frickin' bot, each individual of those magic items, quote unquote, for lack of a better term, is like a single one of these souls. Like that was their intention. They had all these they were all separate at one point, maybe. And yeah, like I keep saying, they blended together. Well, you get that hive mind then, so then you can control all these at once and, I don't know, maintain a human body or something.
Yeah, that's kind of very Borg-like.
Yeah,
that's what I was just thinking.
Borg, Borg. Yeah, that's
resistance is futile.
Holy crap! Holy crap! That actually is like very. Yeah.
You know, while on the God subject, I gotta say, I think I've actually, because, you know, you find the idea of gods in all forms of media. I think the only sort of person that I've read science fiction wise that has really gotten the God formula down, in my opinion, which frankly I haven't read too much of the greatest writers, so I'm sure this is due to my own limitations, but I think Lovecraft gets the God formula down better than anybody else, because he kind of gets what I imagine God to be like, which is so fathomably beyond you that your own existence may actually be in danger by being too close in general, or by having too much knowledge thereof. Because, you know, even when we were speaking earlier, you get to obey another god because your god does something evil. Your god should be the one that defines what good and evil is. That's kind of what makes them a god. They're above death. They're above all natural law. They're above, even to a point, understanding. You cannot wholly conceive what they are. And that's kind of how I approach them in my own writings as well. For instance, in my own writings, there's only one god called the God of the Rays. And whenever somebody tries to talk about him, they all get kind of confused because there's only so much they can actually absorb about the own god they worship.
And
but that kind of ties into what we were saying earlier about there are small g gods, and then there's the capital G god, and so there's different god levels.
That one. What were you going to say, Otter?
I was going to say you're also someone who really doesn't like Lovecraft's work, but even still, you're pointing out how he does kind of like the gods.
I like his mythos, and I like the way it's done. His writing can use some work, and the man himself, I believe, is too praised for his personals, you know, for who he is personally. And I'm not the kind of guy who's like, oh, you're from this century, and I'm going to apply my modern day standards to you. But I see the exact opposite happening, where modern day standards are being applied in the positive to them, and they're clinging on to the smallest thing to kind of like, oh look, he was one of us all along, sort of way.
I mean, the biggest thing the biggest problem I have with his writing is how he does dialogue. When he does dialogue wrong, he really goes off the deep end.
He didn't work too much with an editor. That's good to keep in mind.
And the guy
that said, I really like how he'll alternate. Lovecraft said it himself. It's like he has two different styles whenever he's writing fiction. He'll either write like Edgar Allan Poe or Lord Dunsany in his short stories, and you can definitely see it because it'll go from like morbid horror, where the narrator usually goes insane by the end, to just straight up portal fantasy and dream worlds. It just depends.
The Lovecraftian god thing, I believe, is actually like in several descriptions in the Bible. They have like angels that they can't even describe, people going blind when they look upon the face of God and stuff like that. Shout outs to the Ark of the Covenant and Ezekiel's wheel for the Lovecraftian look. Ark of the Covenant, I believe that was like causing all kinds of stuff like cancer and like the blindness I mentioned. I think that was somebody who looked inside of it. I don't know. There's the whole thing. You can't look upon
when they touched it the wrong way. They got burned by a fire that could not be quenched even with water, which got some people to wonder if this was an electrical generator.
Radiation. right? Stuff like that.
And they would die. They just straight up died if they
Yep.
looked into the Ark of the Covenant.
Yep. It's interesting when you if we're gonna start going down there, a little tinfoil hat moment. You can look inside the pyramid, which they've never found any mummies in any pyramids, right?
Yeah, yet they call them tombs. Weird,
Yeah,
huh?
they call them tombs, right? But there is a little. They call them tombs because there's a single like location in the King's Chamber, I believe. It is a sarcophagus shaped.
You need to clarify. You're specifically talking about the giant pyramid, because the other ones were built as tombs.
They
But what
haven't
you're
found
talking
any
about is the
mummies.
first one, right?
They haven't built any mummies in
The Great Pyramid of Giza.
Correct.
In any pyramid, there's been no mummies found.
No, there have been in some of the smaller ones that were built long after.
I think they even had a different architectural
like-
style to them.
Late dynasty, you're saying?
Yeah,
like they
correct.
Okay, yeah. I see. I could see that then too. Like if the Egyptians themselves misinterpreted it. Yeah, but like the oldest, like the largest, most grand, they're very functional looking. And just the whole point I was trying to make is at the center is a sarcophagus shaped what's the best thing is like a holder, right? It looks like it would hold a sarcophagus. So mainstream archaeologists say that was clearly where there was a mummy at one point, right? And they ran away with that idea. And essentially, you could, when you look at the measurements and stuff of the Ark of the Covenant, you could maybe put something like that there to do some sort of weird functional thing that all the conspiracy theorists say about the pyramid, being a generator of some kind, right? Like you talk about that. And when you think about like the was it the Israelites fleeing Egypt from the Pharaoh and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had the ark with them, right? It didn't they? Correct me if I'm wrong. It kind of sounds like they kind of went and grabbed the ark and then took off, which would be great cause for like the Pharaoh to chase after them, right?
Well, they was chasing after him because he was losing the entirety of his slave/workforce, which would have devastated his economy.
That too.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think the Ark of the Covenant was part of that.
You don't? Yeah.
Maybe it was. I don't know.
It's
Pretty
just
sure they had it
interesting.
with them in the desert.
It's just interesting because I do think the ark was with them because I think they do stuff with it, which is part of like what they
It
were
pops
doing.
off. It pops up around Mount Sinai, which was after.
Yeah,
that.
that's right.
So yeah,
That's right.
after they left, that's right.
It's right in the same area though. You see what I'm saying though? Like they leave Egypt. Egypt happens to be home of these pyramids that happen to have this thing that's about sarcophagus size. You look at the measurements of the ark; it's kind of the same shape. The box on the bottom. You guys, you know what I'm talking about? It's like a box with the cherubs on top. That's an actual like description from the Bible. That's how we like know kind of what you see the same ark everywhere because there's an actual description of it. And yeah, it looks like you could just set it right in that thing, and you combine it with the conspiracy theories. It's like it's a stretch, but like that's kind of
I like it though.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
do too.
and there is a replica of that ark in Mar-a-Lago. I read.
Interesting.
Really?
If anybody has something like that, it would be like the Vatican or like America. But like America, see, I don't think we actually hold ultimate power, to be fair. I think we are as great as we think we are in the obvious senses. Like, yeah, we have military and stuff. But as far as like the deeper, like, crazy New World Order stuff going on and ancient artifacts, I think the best we got is contact with aliens. There you go. But I think the Vatican would have stuff like this, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think they've got their hands on it again, which is good. You'd want it to be there, of all places. Something like this, anyway.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we have gone way over.
Yeah.
And King Bob, there is something you needed to address before we wrap this up?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So it's pretty simple. If any of you are familiar with my website, it's just these 4 F's that I think are the 4 cornerstones for a good, healthy person, in addition to a good, healthy civilization. So I just wanted to open it up to anybody that wants to write anything that has to do with one of those 4 cornerstones, or all of them. It doesn't really matter, because this thing is it's not my thing. It's just a thing that I think everyone kind of agrees with that's in this group. So if you read it and you go, it's kind of how I do it is I'll see something on the news and I go, hey, that pertains to this letter. I'm going to write a thing about that. And then I write a thing about it. So if that works for you, then yeah, please, by all means, write something. Let me know.
Good choices.
They are really good choices.
I like those 4 words. Yeah.
And you'd like an original work based on those prompts, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah. Like how you can use it as personal as you want to be, like how it influenced your life if it wants to go that far, or you can just say something in general, like, hey, this country was founded on Judeo-Christian values that pertains to faith, and here's why I think that, and then just write an article on that. Something that simple.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So not necessarily prose. It could be like news, like journalism. It could be like journalist oriented.
Yeah, sure.
So it's basically an article or a blog.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'll save that somewhere.
Alrighty. Well, the link is in the description or in the right there in the chat. So we're going to wrap this up, and we will continue. We'll consider that the first of the parting plugs. James.
Hello, one of the last to arrive. I am a short story writer currently working on my first novella called The Glimmerleaf, which is actually requested. I've completed the first chapter, working on the second chapter. Looks like it might bleed into a third chapter. I don't know. But I used to release one short story a month. I've taken a break this year to focus on this novella. It is about on the halfway point done. But every single month, since all my short stories are written in the exact same world, I've been releasing faction information, kind of introducing a new faction. And they just released our, I believe it's our 4th one today, which is the 9 Tree Timothy Gang, which appeared in one of our short stories. And it's plastered in 3 lovely magazine-like pages with 3 separate cards for you to enjoy, because I do like cards. And that should stave off the readers until I get this novella done and I could release it and get back to writing short stories again, because I need to get back at that. If you want to follow me and check out all the cool stuff I'm working on, check out my stuff on my Substack at worldwithoutendlore.substack.com. Thank you.
Sick.
Awesome. Maji.
I don't really have anything to shill. You got awesome King Bob, you got awesome Pritchard, you got James.
You're working on
Frederick.
a book. You're working on a book.
I am, but I'm not even close to ready.
No, it doesn't matter. You need to market the shit out of that. Sure. Everyone needs to know it's in the works before it launches.
It's in the works. It's still got a while.
What is it called? What is it called? What is it about? Is it action adventure?
Right now, it's part of the Shalar conglomerate. It may subject to change. We haven't exactly finalized anything, but the story is actually written. I'm just going through boot camp with Daniel P. Riley to take it to the next level, so then that way it can stand up to other writers.
All right.
Done. Yeah, once boot camp's done, he's going to turn me loose to fix a few things, and then we'll go from there.
Sweet. I cannot wait to see this, actually. Well, once you got it polished, this is going to be awesome. AC!
I got a campaign on Fund My Comic. Go check it out. fundmycomic.com/ASOS. Very simple, very easy to remember. It's going to be live for the next 2 months. We have an art contest, so you can submit some art and get some free, easy promotion and some loot, some cool digital prizes like an audiobook, a copy of the book itself, all kinds of stuff. I tried to make a lot of incentive there. Give you a whole thank you page in the back of the graphic novel with all your information for anybody who gets their hands on the book to find you, stuff like that. So yeah, go check it out. Just do a cool picture of an orc or a flying ship in a storm, or like a bear with horns fighting a dragon, and yeah, it should be awesome. Go check it out, guys. Flying Viking Orcs. Thank you.
And one of these days, we are going to have to get a horned bear biting into a dragon while Steve Irwin commentates on it from the side.
I can see all the memes already.
Sure. Otter!
Well, if you didn't hear Billy Bob joking about it before, I'm currently hard at work on book 2. Things are coming along just nicely, nearly at 70,000 words at the moment. In the meantime, I have book 1, The Curse of the Star Raids, out on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the big retailers. I'm also hoping to get into a video review here very soon.
Oh,
sick.
We do have a preview of him writing the second book. Here you
God, here we go.
Just the sight of those breasts made Reginald's penis very hard. His penis was of considerable size, and now beads of sweat ran slowly down his penis, making it glisten like a strong swimmer fresh from out of the pool. It was a fantastic penis that seemed as strong as a horse's leg, yet as delicate as a flower wrapped in silk. What a grand, grand penis. Diana's nipples... let's see. Diana's nipples... Oh, writer's block, writer's block. Crap! I'm stuck. Oh well, maybe that's enough writing for tonight, Mr. Hat.
And we get a copyright claim every time you hit that button, Billy.
It was worth it.
I guess that's what you get for making a joke like that, Mr. Hat.
You did that way too well.
Man, I need to watch the South Park right after this. That's hilarious.
All right, before the Mr. Garrison stuff goes on any further, Frederick.
imakecomics.com will take you to the website if you want to see the progress I'm making on Rattel. My first comic as an indie developer, indie comic book artist, I should say. I'm still stuck in the old mindset of being a developer. I've even got a nice progress page showing you exactly like which pages are done and pencils, inks, colors, and all that. So you can follow along the progress. I'm working on building the campaign, so that is coming along slowly as I, color the pages. And also on Tuesdays on my YouTube channel, I have an art stream with Billy Bob and Art, and some surprise guests such as James, who comes in from time to time. And where we I draw and talk with you guys as we do.
Sick. I love those streams, man.
All right. Billy Bob.
I still have the Fiendish review stream up. Whenever Otter Dinkage get their Goats of the Badlands and Frederick can get his, we'll be doing a review on that. At some point, a Shadow of the Conqueror graphic novel, first part of the novel review with Otter.
Well, I'm specifically going to be rereading the first 100 or so pages of the prose novel, and Billy's going to be reading the volume number 1 of the graphic novel, which is going to be an interesting way to compare the two.
I'm tuning in for that. I'm curious to see how that lines up. I can't read I didn't realize what artist version meant at the time, and I got the kind without any words in it. And so even though I read the prose novel, I was looking through thinking, well, I'll probably know what's going on, and I was just lost. So I am very curious to see the graphic novel comparison to the prose novel.
There is a lot that happens in the prose novel, good and bad, in my opinion.
How was the art? Was it good? Was the art at least good, Wrangler?
I didn't really look through it all that much once I realized I can't read it and I don't know what's going on. So it's just kind of on the shelf as a keepsake.
You could find out a lot what's going on just by looking at the pictures.
Yeah, but I'm trying to line it up with what I read in the prose novel, and it just wasn't connecting. I got frustrated. But if the word bubbles had words in it, I'd probably have a clue. But
the bubbles are there too still?
Wrangler, apparently Raven's asking what my book is. So, Raven, that is The Curse of the Star Raids, the first entry in the Steel and Stormbright saga.
I thought it was a Steel and Cutbright.
Not exactly.
Base Bright, more like. Brotherly bonding at its best.
And athletic tits.
And oh, Muscle Mama's in mine too. That's part of my plug. Muscle Mama Orcs incoming soon. As soon as we get there.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go, King Bob. There you go.
I will serenade them.
All right, it's time to wrap this up. Go ahead, check out the Bad Kitties series, Haley Star Bad Kitty, Bad Kitties Haley's World. Good magic-fueled sci-fi adventure. If you enjoyed this presentation, hit the like, and if you didn't, I appreciate you stopping by. We'll see you next time, and God bless.